As every ship desires to arrive at a safe harbor, so does Chelsea create a safe harbor and space to share, heal, be inspired, and rebirth. Get prepared for a 15 minutes of thought-provoking, no-holds-barred conversations from real-life issues, sexual and gender-based violence, and everything in between. This is not your regular podcast. This is a masterpiece.
Welcome to another episode of the Harbor podcast. So today I'm here with Mrs. Abodiya Obindo, and we'll be talking on something very close to home. While researching about this topic, I just saw how this affects everybody's life, even in the way we interact with people, in our friendship, even the way we choose friends.
Yeah.
It's not just about researching on the questions to ask, it's about realizing that, okay, somehow this too has influenced my life. So I'm here with Mrs. Abodiya.
Okay, so my name is Mrs. Abodiya Obindo. I'm a biblical counselor and a therapist.
How long have you been into counseling?
I taught all my life, so I was into counseling as a secondary school teacher, and I loved the results I was getting from students I work with closely, counseling. So that pushed me to want to do more. And so I volunteered in some mental health institutions, and eventually went to the seminary to get trained in biblical counseling and psychology.
So today's topic would be looking at emotional abuse, basically in the family context and as it affects children.
Yeah.
So now there's this notion that there's no such thing as emotional abuse in Nigeria, because they'll tell you that, it's an American context, that here we don't have emotional abuse, we have discipline. So what we call abuse is basically discipline. So my question is, what exactly is emotional abuse?
So emotional abuse has to do with any form of mistreatment that is not physical, that will bring harm to a child. And this happens through manipulation, control, instilling fear, and humiliation. Yes, so that's emotional abuse. Talking about the average African man or person thinking there's nothing like emotional abuse, it's not true. The issue is that we don't understand it. Things bordering around emotions and mental health is something the average African does not pay attention to. Yes, we don't pay attention to it. An average African is not good with expressing emotions, particularly men, rather suppress emotions. Yes, women are a bit better in the long run, So, but the aim of discipline is for correction. When it goes beyond correction and begins to inflict harm, then you have crossed the line into abuse.
So, just an example. Growing up, our parents compared us. Or how even your teacher, when they ask you something and you cannot get it, they hit your head and shout, Olodo. And to them, it is them actually disciplining and correcting you. You're telling me that is abuse?
It is abuse, particularly if it becomes consistent. Yes. When it becomes consistent, it is abuse. See, the problem with comparison is it has a way of affecting a child's self-esteem. They don't believe in themselves. They look at themselves as inferior to other children, and boldness ceases. So it affects them a lot. That is emotional abuse.
So I also read something that said when a parent picks a favorite child, it's abuse too. And then when they're trying to control their child, but in their head, controlling is because they know that, okay, this is the right path, so we want to show you the right path. So, and then when they are being manipulative too, it's also emotional abuse.
It is.
So truly, how do you correct a child then?
No, I have a child. My child did misbehave, and I need to correct my child. The first thing I need to understand is that this child is also a human being. This child has human dignity. And so in relating to this child, I must respect that he is human and he's got his dignity, which is missing in a lot of the way we parent as Africans. I had to learn over time, to become a better parent. That's the beauty of knowledge. So if I'm going to be correcting, I'm going to correct this child based on who he is, number one. I'm not going to be comparing him to anybody. I'm dealing with him as an individual, so I talk to him as an individual. That's number one. Number two, I won't force him against his will to do what I want without his understanding what exactly I'm aiming at. So assuming I want a child to always dress his bed whenever he wakes up, and he wakes up the next day, he didn't dress the bed. Of course, the first thing I want to do as an African mother is to carry the cane and beat this child, I believe in the cane. I believe in the cane. But I believe in the cane as a last resort. I should be able to sit this child down and make him see why it is important to dress his bed, why he needs to do it himself, why he needs to do it first thing in the morning, without manipulating. One thing about children is they don't all respond the same way. Sure. Some catch up with things faster than others. And so I must be patient in getting this child to do this thing. Discipline is actually training or teaching a person to act in the way that is appropriate. That's what discipline is about. So if we're talking about teaching and training, it comes with patience. And that is one thing we lack a lot as African parents.
I saw a study that said when parents complain to their child about their life or maybe their work or how they are frustrated in their marriage, it's also emotional abuse, because according to the study, children are not able to process that kind of information because they are not emotionally matured. So they grow up feeling like, okay, they are responsible for their parents' pain, and then they focus on their parents more than themselves, trying to please their parents, and that the psychology continues.
As parents, when we deal with children, our dealings with them must be age appropriate. I can't be talking to a 5-year-old about the issues I'm having with my husband and expect that he or she would understand as I expect him to understand. It's not possible. That child is not emotionally matured enough to even process the things I am saying. So what he sees and hears is, mommy and daddy are having problems. Somebody has to be blamed. And automatically, he'll begin to look at himself. Maybe it is because of me. Maybe I'm the cause. Maybe it is because I did this. Maybe it's because I did. It is abuse. It is abuse because they are not matured enough emotionally to handle your relationship problem. So what you do is you just pour burdens on them that they are not prepared to carry. So it is abuse.
So, from this, I can already see the impact of abuse. Is there a positive impact of abuse? Plus the negative impact, can we talk about it? I remember there was a girl in our school, ABU. I was in 300 level, and this girl jumps from the second floor and commits suicide. And according to them, she got a carryover. I have classmates that have carryover back to back. It's like, it's cruise for them. But she gets one carryover and she commits suicide. Now I feel maybe she has been taught to feel like everything is depending on you. There's a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. So she just felt like she needed to end it, It's one carryover, but it had this effect on her.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that. Growing up at a point, we used to tell our friends that we were raised never to fail exams in my house. Yes, we were raised never to fail exams. So failing exams was out of it for us. The very first time I failed exams, sometime in my university days, I was depressed for days. Yes. Now that is what happens when we place on our children unrealistic expectations. We must begin to make children realize that failure is a part of life, and when it happens, it does not mean it's final. Let's help our children learn from process and not just the results. We're result-oriented people. Most times, we are after the results. So the end justifies the means. However you do it, it doesn't matter. And that is what has brought Nigeria to where we are today. However you do it, it doesn't matter. Just be a big man. Just have the money. Just be successful, and all that. But it shouldn't be. Unrealistic expectations can push a child to that kind of a place. That kind of child, what will be going on in her mind or his mind will be that, how do I go home with this kind of a result? Which home am I going to with this kind of a result? Which father or mother am I going to show this kind of a result? They won't be able to handle it. So they either run away from home or they kill themselves.
So there's no positive impact of
abuse. Once it is abuse, there's nothing positive about abuse.
But there are people that will tell you, because I remember there was this story of a man that he trained himself through school.
Okay.
Like it was hard. He struggled and all that.
Okay.
And growing up, I think maybe in that process he felt, this was hard, so I will not want to put myself like anybody through this. But then eventually he grew up, he got married, he had children, and then he felt like this was what made him the better version of himself. This was what made him driven. So now he doesn't give his children the things they need because he feels they should work hard, that they will appreciate it more when they work hard. But then flip side, he didn't like it when he was going through that. So now he feels like he should do the same thing to his children. It will make them stronger. They can handle life better.
No, I wouldn't want to agree with that. I know there are people who are able to overcome these things and make a success of their lives. those people are called resilient people. They are resilient, so they are able to do it. But one of the things we need to put in place when it comes to some of these things is balance. There has to be a balance between doing it excessively. Just because I went through it and it paid me does not mean my children should go through it. I should be able to look at it and find the not so good parts of what happened and be able to, bring it to a point where it is not tilting to the extreme, whether tenderness or toughness, but somewhere in between where the children can process and be able to grow healthy. But because I went through it and it paid me and my children should go through it, I don't think that's a good way.
But they don't see it as abuse, though, because most of them just felt like, okay, it was a discipline or a process they went through.
So now I understand. Well, the truth is, if you don't see it as abuse, you wouldn't look at it as bad, necessarily. Most of the things that the African parent does to children, we just feel it's good. This world is not a soft place, it's a tough place. So when you raise them hard, they are tough to face life. But we must also remember that children are different. Some can handle it. Some may not be able to handle it. So understanding the children and knowing who can and who can't will also be a positive thing in this thing. So for this man, I would prefer he does not make it a blanket thing for all his children.
So how does one know that, okay, how I am responding is because of abuse?
Education, enlightenment. Because what you don't know, you don't know.
Sure.
So it takes them getting to be taught, to learn, to read, to hear, to know, for them to know that this is a result of abuse. But let's see. Let me list some of the things, behaviors that can be pointers to abuse, moodiness.
What if you just don't want to talk to anybody and you just want to be by yourself?
No, one thing is not just a one-time thing or once in a while thing.
Okay.
It becomes your consistent pattern, Always either very angry, very withdrawn, not interested in talking to people.
What if that's your personality?
If that's your personality, it would have shown from the beginning.
Because there are some people that will feel, okay, maybe they don't like being a burden. Maybe they have grown up seeing their parents argue over them, and because of that, they just felt like it's safer to just be by myself. It's safer to be my circle. And then whenever they are going through something, they just get into that mood and just lock everybody out.
It shows that they are reacting based on the abuse that they are going through.
Well, I'm wondering, how is it a bad thing?
To be withdrawn?
Yes.
We are created for relationships. We are created to communicate. So if running away is my first mode for defense and it becomes a consistent pattern, there is a problem. One of the things about us human beings is when we find the right people, we are okay, we are good. The best of us comes out. Yes, when we find the wrong people, it can impact on us negatively. But to consistently want to run away from everybody when things are not working, I don't think it's a good thing. One needs to go for therapy.
Therapy, that's another thing that Nigerians don't do.
No, Nigerians don't see therapy as African man is tough. He will get through it somehow. Sure. That's what we feel. But I've seen people come for counseling, and you'll be amazed at the kind of things that when you begin to unearth how much they break down and show emotions that they have not shown all their lives. You'll be shocked. Most of us Africans, we need therapy. We need therapy. The first time I went for trauma healing, the facilitator said, we are all in need of healing. And I laughed. Okay, maybe I don't see myself needing healing. But there was this activity we were asked to do. They said you should go and draw. Just draw what you think your life looks like. I won't tell you what I drew. Okay. But I did that thing, and then we'll come and you will discuss that thing. Do you know when it got to my turn? Of course, others were doing our crying, and I'm like, oh boy, people love drama. And when it came to my turn, and then I said, I drew, I broke down and I wept. That was this like 5 years ago. I wept as if, I was in my heart. I was like, so why am I crying? Why am I crying? I went for over 30 minutes. I couldn't believe it. And I mean, anybody who knows me, they know she's tough and she can get through anything. And so apparently all that toughness, I was actually covering a lot. And it took that to show me that we truly are people who are in need of healing. Outburst of anger.
So all those people saying, oh, I have anger issues.
In fact, one of the things I read says that anger is the root of a lot of abuse. Yes. Most people who abuse people are angry about something or some things in life. So what the abuse they perpetrate on people is like transferred aggression. Yes. So irritability, outburst of anger, anxiety and depression.
I can say a lot about anxiety. It's like going to a place and just feel like everybody's watching you, you have to, there's a standard that you just have to meet, and then you just feel the weight of a lot.
Yeah. And that's common with a lot of our children.
It is.
Yeah, because we place such high expectations on them, and everybody is out to just prove myself. There are people who go through life and all they want to do is to prove to their daddies that they are worth being their children. Prove to mommy that I am worthy to be your daughter. And then we have withdrawal or isolation, which we have talked about already. And then we have behavioral challenges. Such people could become bullies. Yes, they could become bullies, steal a lot, lie a lot as a result of abuse. A child who knows that when he does something wrong, if he admits it, what he will get will be a thorough beating, would rather lie.
True.
So these are some of the things that happen as a result of emotional abuse. Or, since it's emotional abuse we are talking now, it's not beating. They are telling you, look at you, you are good for nothing.
Yeah.
You are good for nothing. This is how you are always giving me heartache. What kind of a child are you?
And I'm sure in the mind of the parents, they're just expressing how they feel at that moment.
Yeah, that's what a lot of parents think they are doing. I'll give you an example. My first son, I can't remember what it was that was the problem then. And this day he got me really angry. And when I start, you will hear my voice for 50 kilometers. That's another form of abuse.
Shouting.
Screaming, yelling on children. It's another form of emotional abuse. And then I'm screaming my head off. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your head? What kind of head do you have? And I'm saying those things. And we'll get through that. I go into the room. My husband is in the bedroom hearing me scream on top of my voice, and he's writing everything that I am saying. Yeah. He writes it and drops it on the pillow and leaves. I don't know, up to today, I've asked him why he wrote it. He said he does not know. But he writes it and drops it there. I come in, I want to lie down, I see a paper, I pick it, I read it, I flip it, and then I'm like, this is what I was just telling this boy. Oh my God, this is bad. I felt really bad. And that was the beginning of my change of journey as a parent. I decided I was going to be a different parent. And this is where, for me, evolving in the parenting journey becomes important. Knowledge makes you better if you choose to change,
Sure.
Yes, knowledge makes you better. And as parents, you don't have a choice but to evolve. It's a journey of learning. Nobody was trained to be a parent before you became a parent. So you learn on the job, yes. But you make your mistakes, you correct yourself, you move on. Yes, you move on. But let me just say this. When it comes to our context as African, there are some things that are cultural norms. But that it is a cultural norm does not make it right. So there are certain things in our culture that we must begin to change. We have a culture of negativity as Africans.
Sure.
And as a parent, I have this negative thing already in my head. And the slightest thing my daughter does, for example, she's talking to a boy somewhere. The next thing in my head is, I hope she's not sleeping with that boy before she goes and gets pregnant. That kind of a thing. For me, as somebody who believes in the Bible, I know I need to renew my mind. Yeah. And so those negativity must begin to go. I stay with the word of God. And so I choose to see what is right. I choose to see what is pure. I choose to see what is noble. So when I see my daughter there, that shouldn't be the first thing with a guy, that shouldn't be the first thing that comes into my head. Yeah. Even if that thought passes through my head, I should be able to say, no, Lord, that cannot be her. she will be right, she will walk with you, she will fear you, and she will keep herself pure. So those things help us.
True. So do you believe in the whole American standard of you don't have to punish or shout or talk back at the child to discipline the child? You can just guide them and try to be their friend.
All right. So now this is called emotional abuse. I mentioned toughness and tenderness.
Yeah.
Being over permissive is a form of abuse.
Wow.
Yes. Being overprotective is a form of abuse. Because what you do is you do not let these children attain their full potential. There are some things children must do for themselves. If I choose to be overprotective, now let me give you an example of a butterfly. When it comes from that pupa stage, is it the pupa? I think yes, the pupa stage where it is in that cocoon, and it is evolving into an adult this thing. Do you know if you try to help it, you end up killing that butterfly? It won't survive.
Okay.
But when it breaks through that cocoon by itself, it gains the strength it needs to fly and to face the life outside. We must relate to our children like that. So wanting to do everything for them because they are your children is an abuse. You are reducing their potential. There's so much they won't be able to do because of that kind of thing. That American thing, we've seen the results now. See where they are. So there's no need talking too long about it. Yeah. It's not working. It's not working. When you deal with children, there are times you must be tough. But in your toughness, they must be able to know that mommy is doing this or daddy is doing this from a place of love. He loves me. And that is one thing that I think a lot of African parents have not been able to communicate with their children. I love you. The average African parent makes the child feel you need to earn my affection. So we earn it through performance. My result is good. Where there's a singing competition, I come out the best. Yeah. If it's football, I am chosen. Yeah. If it is whatever, I am the best. So you find African parents loving a child because he's outstanding. And then the person who is not outstanding in the house becomes a black sheep.
Yeah.
Yes. So it shouldn't be. So love can be tough and love can be tender. We must be able to understand where love needs to be tough. But much as I'm allowing my child go through that toughness, deep in that child's heart, this child knows mommy loves me, daddy loves me. And, we don't tell our children, I love you. So it becomes another thing. That's another one. So, but some of us are learning. We have been intentional about letting them know, I love you. Yeah. I love you so.
So what do you think is the likelihood of someone that has experienced abusing their child?
But it's more often, research has shown that an abused person will most likely be an abuser. There are exceptions, but there are few, Why this happens is because this person that has been abused just feels that's the way it should be anyway. So he goes on to replicate what he has seen. Oh, yeah. Yes. But those who get to break that, it's a pattern. Those who get to break that pattern have come to a place of realizing this is not it. I must do it differently. And so they begin to work on themselves and work towards making a difference for the next generation.
So if there's someone out there that wants to, start this journey, what's the first thing you tell them to do? And most people are not willing to talk to a counselor. So is there an option outside going for counseling? Well,
I would say if you're not interested in going for counseling, begin to read. Read. Go on the internet. Find materials that have to do with how to heal from that kind of from abuse. So read and see what you can do. But your best bet will be to seek help. Your best bet will be to seek help. Because what you get from those who are specialized in these areas makes it easy. And then you have an accountability partner with whom you are working. So your results will be better.
Yeah. So if they want to reach out, or do you have a phone number they could reach out to if they want to, get help for this?
Yeah.
Please could you call the number?
Okay, so 0803 454 1399.
Yes. Thank you so much, ma. This has been really enlightening. I'm so glad I had you on this episode today. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Thank you for being part of today's episode. Would you want to be a part of this? If yes, you can reach us on WhatsApp 08149991910, or you can reach us on mail at theharborinitiative@gmail.com.